Yesterday we got mildly surprised. I don't want to say completely surprised because there were a lot of leaks about this, but we were surprised technically by Activision finally telling us that yes, the new Call of Duty coming out is going to be based in World War II. It will not be another futuristic installment with technology that technically doesn't exist, made up stories going forward about different nations clashing. It is going to take a more historical approach and take place in World War II. And for a lot of people, they're very happy. I mean, this is what most people, I don't want to say everyone because not everyone wants this, but a lot of people who remember what Call of Duty used to be way back when it was mostly based on historical combat, this is what they wanted. They wanted something that was a little more true to life, something that they could actually go back and tell a story about what happened in the past historically, especially with the newer technology they have now where they could go back and do stuff that maybe they could not do back when they did Call of Duty 2, for example. They can go back and actually give us a really cool idea of how everything happened. And of course, there are more leaks. And what happened was, it looks like a retailer, an unnamed retailer by the way, has leaked promotional material that is set to go up more than likely in a street date fashion. So it is set to not be on shelves until more than likely, I believe anyway, Wednesday when the live stream happens. Speaking of the live stream, I will be doing a live stream here watching that Activision announcement. So if you want to come on by, you can watch it here with me on SpawnWave and we'll have a good time and kind of talk about and discuss what we see. But this is from an unnamed retailer. So what they did was they took a picture of what's going to be going out on the shelf. It looks like it is kind of the section for the Xbox One since it does have Xbox One branding on it. And it does give us a good rundown of what we can expect from this new Call of Duty iteration. And while these are leaks, so they're not 100% confirmed, so far marketing material has been on point. So I honestly believe this. It looks like it falls right in line. It's very professional looking if it's a fake. So at this time, with the setting and everything we've been given, I believe at this point that this can be pretty much taken as what's going to happen. So here we go. The first big thing that you read when you look at this promotional material is that it's going to take place, of course, in World War II, but it is going to be part of D-Day. So what they're going to do is they're apparently going to have you land on the beaches and run through D-Day in Europe. And this is interesting because D-Day has been really shown several times, obviously in movies, but it's already been done in video games. When we saw Medal of Honor has done it a couple times. Even Call of Duty 2 did this, and it was done well, but I do think now, with how technology is, with obviously Xbox One, PS4, maybe Switch, I don't know, we still don't know anything about that. We can definitely say it's going to be Xbox One, PS4, and PC. I think that's pretty obvious, but with technology they have now, they can do some pretty cool stuff with the amount of stuff happening at D-Day when you land on the beaches of Normandy. I mean, that's when all kinds of stuff should be happening, explosions, gunfire, people running back and forth, getting mowed down and killed. There's a lot of stuff they can do with this with the new technology. So even though they have done this before, they've touched on this, I think they have an awesome opportunity to make it either more realistic and more violent. Because keep in mind, the previous generation games, Call of Duty 2, Medal of Honor, those have mostly been teen-rated games. So there are a lot of stuff where if you watch something like Saving Private Ryan, for example, Saving Private Ryan, much more violent than Call of Duty 2 and Medal of Honor made that event out to be. So I do think now with Call of Duty 1 being a mature rated game now, so they are going to go back and do kind of think of what Brothers in Arms did, where there were things like dismemberment and all kinds of stuff happening. This would be more obviously on a realistic scale with the PS4 and the Xbox One visuals. And I think they can do more with enemies on screen, tons of enemies on screen, obviously. And this is a great chance for them to really pull back to their roots where they did stuff like tell a historical tale. And I think they have it here with the technology and the events. They get to go back and redo D-Day essentially because they've done it before. But hopefully in greater detail and a much more compelling story, maybe with different characters that you go through it with. And that story is kind of interesting because while we don't know much about the story, they have said that it is at least in their words, a compelling story. Of course, they're going to say that because they are the studio making it. But anyway, they do mention that there is a co-op story mode. And that kind of surprised me a little bit because recently, most big companies want you to buy multiple games, multiple systems. Maybe this is something that can be split screen. If not, it makes sense because they're going to want to sell you multiple games, multiple systems, or have you play online and have to buy the Xbox Live subscription service. So Microsoft and Sony may lean on them for that to make it only one person per screen with online co-op. But what's cool is they said it's a specific story for co-op, which means they may pull you in and make you work more together. So instead of, say, just be the same thing going through and you're just controlling what would normally be an AI person in the field, they may have stuff set up specifically for each person to do to progress in the game. Like, for example, one person breaches, the other person flanks, and they have it set up to where the flanking person has to, I don't know, pull a lever on one side to open the door for the other. There's a lot of stuff they can get into and do and make it more interesting for both parties, or even maybe it's up to 4 people. We don't know. But there's more they can do here than just make you go through the generic storyline together. From there, you can see on the promotional material, it does say that there is a private beta coming. It's more than likely just a closed beta for the people who have pre-ordered and probably press, unless the press, of course, get a beta away from that just for press to work on. I assume, though, they would want the press and anyone doing closed beta together to test the online servers. Now, of course, this is not like new. A lot of times you pre-order places, you get a beta code. There's like weekends set up. They've done it with Call of Duty before. This is not new. I would be more concerned about if this is set up specifically for certain locations. What's funny about that is if that's the case, and let's say it's just GameStop, whoever took this picture, it would be pretty obvious it would have been from a GameStop then. I don't think that's the case. I think it's going to be pretty much everywhere. Because even like the small store that I worked at still got beta codes for the last Call of Duty. So it really, you just email Activision as a reseller. If you're selling it through your wholesaler, they will then give you the codes. I don't think it's locked into any one company, but of course it's really fun to get these beta codes. I think a lot of people will be very interested in this World War II iteration, so this beta will be packed. And after all of the announcements and everything, I think a lot of people looked at it and said, well, they're going to World War II because fans backlashed about Infinite Warfare, because they don't want another historic or another futuristic shooter. They want more of a historic shooter that's a little more realistic. Well, I don't think that's the case. I don't think the fan backlash has anything to do with it. And I'm going to show you why, because it looks like Sledgehammer Games has been playing this from the get-go. Like, once they finished Advanced Warfare, I have a feeling they kind of looked at the series, saw where the other 2 companies who are also kind of, I mean, it's kind of a competition between all 3 companies here that are working on it. Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and then, of course, Sledgehammer Games. I think they looked at this, realized the other 2 are kind of going forward, and instead of doing the same exact thing, why not just be different and go back in time? And that's, I think, what they decided to do, because the level of detail they're claiming is in this would not have happened like right away when Infinite Warfare's backlash started. I mean, you can see here, Michael Condrey went to Twitter and kind of put these thoughts to rest, I think, at this point, and showed that they have been touring Europe completely to make sure that they get all of the locations correct, all of the historical events as accurate as possible. I mean, he even went out on Twitter, gets on Twitter with a video camera and shows that he is currently at London's Churchill War Rooms, just kind of going around the place and checking out I guess the setting and exactly how things went down there. So a lot of research appears to be going into this.
Hey everyone, Michael Condrey, co-founder and studio head of Sledgehammer Games, here in London with Call of Duty World War II. And you know, we've been on research for the last 2.5 years on this game, traveling all over Europe and the world, researching World War II to get this game right for fans. No place more important here in London than the Churchill War Rooms. This was Churchill's bunker right here, under 5 feet of concrete.
And I appreciate if there is a good attention to detail, which I hope there is, I appreciate it as a gamer. I'm sure some of you guys will too, especially if there are historical buffs that really enjoy this kind of stuff. There's a lot of people who play historical games and really enjoy kind of the Assassin's Creed series because of it. And I think Call of Duty has something here where they can really hit that historical bone in a lot of people's bodies, where they want to learn without sitting in a classroom, kind of, you know what I mean? They want to go back in time, see what happens, and not be stuck to a textbook. This is a cool way to do it, I think, if they get everything correct and they don't exaggerate too much. I think it's okay to make an original story, but I guess don't change like the events of history so it makes sense in your story. Have your story make sense in the historical events that have happened, and I think most people will appreciate that originality. But yeah, guys, that's all for now. I just want to talk to you a little bit about these Call of Duty leaks, specifically for this big promotional material that kind of got out there, and kind of do a rundown of it and what we can expect. Now, we'll know more on the 26th. That's this Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be doing a live stream of their event, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. So come on by and check it out. We'll have a good time, and hopefully we learn more about Call of Duty to where we see gameplay and visuals and maybe get a grasp on how they're going to run this story, whether it's through an original piece or maybe a bunch of set events that happen and then tie together at the end. That's it for now, guys. I will see you next time.